Welcome to DDD Deep Dive Discussions. Today we're diving into your sources to unpack the realism of the Psycho-Pass anime. Our mission, really, is to explore if this futuristic vision is, just brilliant sci-fi, or maybe something more. A chillingly prescient warning about where we're heading with technology. Can a system built for perfect order end up, well, undermining what it means to be human?
Yeah, and at the heart of Psychopaths, you've got the Sibyl System. It's presented as this uh, omnipresent, self-regulating network. The claim is it perfectly measures psychological states, predicts criminal intent. It uses something called cymatic scans, which is basically fictional mind-reading tech, and it's run, interestingly, by the collective consciousness of these so-called criminally asymptomatic brains, all to enforce this seemingly flawless social order.
Okay, right. Let's unpack that a bit. Cymatic scans, mind-reading tech for predicting crimes. Is that something we're actually close to? Like, in the real world, can we just scan someone's brain and say, yep, you're going to commit a crime?
No, not really. Right now, that's firmly science fiction. Neuroscience, it's making incredible strides, absolutely. We understand more about brain activity than ever. But predicting complex human behavior, that's a whole different level.
Yeah.
It's just so nuanced. Even our current predictive models, say for forecasting if someone might reoffend, they only achieve, well, modest accuracy is the term often used. They're nowhere near precise enough for something as serious as a legal judgment, let alone predicting intent before anything happens.
But here's where it gets really interesting for me. Even if the direct tech, the cymatic scan itself, is fictional, the idea behind it,
Yeah.
using tech for prediction, for social control, that finds some deeply unsettling real-world parallels, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That's the key connection. Think about predictive policing algorithms, which are already controversial, or vast AI surveillance networks, advanced facial recognition. These aren't mind-reading, obviously, but you could call them intermediate technologies. They're kind of heading in a similar direction, leveraging data to anticipate behavior. And what's philosophically fascinating in Psychopaths is Sibyl's premise. It's deeply deterministic. It suggests your psychological state perfectly predicts your future actions, which, well, it pretty much negates free will, doesn't it?
Yeah, the idea that your future's just decided for you by an algorithm, that's terrifying. But isn't Akane Tsunemori's whole journey, you know, the inspector who keeps questioning Sybil, isn't that a kind of counterpoint? Is her struggle, her trying to hold on to her own morality, maybe highlight that human free will can endure even against this kind of system?
Precisely. And that raises a huge question. What happens when your supposedly perfect system hits something it just can't compute? The criminally asymptomatic individuals, like the antagonist Shogo Makishima, they're Sibyl's blind spot, a critical one. They can do terrible things, yet their psychopath score stays clear. The system is baffled.
Which forces you to ask, what even is justice if the system claiming perfection is so fundamentally flawed?
Exactly. And Sibyl operates on this utilitarian principle, the greatest good for the greatest number, supposedly. But that often means individual rights get completely trampled. You see these paradoxes, like victims whose own stress and trauma actually raise their psychopath score, making them targets.
Right, that's a chilling aspect. So if we build on that,
Yeah.
the blind spots, the disregard for individuals, it seems like the most relevant realism in Psychopaths isn't so much the tech itself, but maybe the societal and ethical fallout.
I think that's spot on. If you connect it to the bigger picture, yeah, it's a really powerful cautionary tale. It warns about unchecked algorithmic power, about sacrificing freedom for this illusion of perfect security, and the way the show depicts lives dictated by algorithms with zero privacy. Does resonate, doesn't it, with things like, say, China's social credit system.
It really does.
Using massive data sets to evaluate and essentially control citizens. It makes you think, how much data are we giving away every day that could eventually be used like that?
And the ethical problems are huge. You mentioned algorithms. If they're trained on historical data that already contains
They
biases.
just amplify them.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you get serious questions about fairness, about due process, accountability. Who's responsible when the algorithm gets it wrong?
Plus the privacy issue. These systems need vast amounts of personal data to function.
Which directly challenges fundamental rights we often take for granted, like the Fourth Amendment in the U.S., context protection against unreasonable searches. Where's the line?
So wrapping this up then, Psychopath's realism, its power, maybe isn't in whether we can build a cymatic scanner tomorrow. It's more in its incredibly prescient look at the societal, ethical, and philosophical mess we could create by chasing perfect prediction and control. It really forces you to ask, what price are we willing to pay for perfect order?
Yeah, it's such a vital piece of speculative fiction for that reason. It offers these critical insights into what some call the beautiful horror, this seductive idea of perfect control that could go terribly wrong. It reminds us that sometimes the biggest threats emerge from within the systems we build to protect ourselves.
A really important point to consider. Stay tuned for more such discussions and definitely comment down below what you'd like us to discuss next time. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.